When I was a child, everywhere the folks took me, I would hear the word grace. 19 years later, I'm still hearing it. Yet, 19 years later, I still don't know what it is. When I was younger, I'd ask, what does grace wear? Does it have a smell like a dog or taste like burnt toast? Is it an endangered species, and that's why we don't see it that often? I would look back at my upbringing and see if I could find grace there. Does grace hold hands with its family in prayer every time dinner is served? And why was it only dinner? Does grace waste its Sunday mornings at church with the other self-righteous do-gooders instead of sleeping in? How do you discipline a child gracefully? Does discipline know grace? And if grace were capable of having sex, would it wait till marriage? And who would grace marry? Mercy? When I was finishing grade school, I'd ask, is grace an equation? Can it be solved or put with another to solve something else? Something bigger? And I was always left wondering, what is bigger than grace? Then I began to think of words. If grace were a dictionary, what words would be in it? What words would be ostracized? And what about sex? Grace must play some role in this valiant extravaganza. If Grace were a prostitute, would I pay her, or would she pay me? And if I were Grace, would I be gay? I guess in order to be gay, I'd have to have a gender. Does Grace have a gender? As this last election season ended, I thought more about Grace than any other time in my life. If Grace were running for office, would its campaign be what the states need to continue being states? Or would it be what the states need to be Grace? What would Grace look like to a homeless man? A job? A bed? A beer? And what would Grace look like to a rich man? Peace of mind with his finances, retirement, no more gas bills? If Grace were in charge of our stock market, would we see interest rates rise? Or something as far-fetched as Jubilee? Maybe there's just no room for Grace anymore. If I was writing a common day gospel about grace, what would it look like? I just don't know. I mean, grace is supposed to be this overlying principle of God, so shouldn't God's people be the ambassadors of grace? Not starting just wars or funding death row or raising their businesses' interest rates? And what do people's feet say about the person directing them? Can feet be grace? I just don't know anymore. Really, I don't think I ever did.